It's Connie's Towers again. Welcome back. I just put my finger on something. Anyway, welcome back to Do Re Mi Let's Sew. And can you tell? I think I need a haircut. I'm getting one tomorrow. I can't wait to go see Miss Barbara. She's gonna fix me up and I will have a little bit better do. But today, I know I'm wearing the same shirt I wore the other day. I went out, and that's kind of my fancy going out shirt. Anyway, today we're gonna actually do some sewing, some cutting. I'm gonna do the mechanics of cutting. And so I will be adjusting my camera and putting it down here. Remember, we're gonna have a new rotary cutter blade for every project. I change it about every other project, to be honest, unless I drop it or something and mess up my blade. Love yourself enough to put a good blade in your rotary cutter. If you're sawing, your blade isn't sharp enough. If you've run over a pin and it kind of goes, you know, it doesn't cut right, your blade's not sharp enough. Hate to say it, but it's the truth. So, love yourself enough. Get that, get your ruler, and let's go to work. Okay, for the past several weeks I've been working on this pattern. It's called Aspen. It's a design by Edita Sitar for laundry basket quilts. And so what I'm going to be cutting today is the fabrics for the binding. And I think I want a dark binding. I'm kind of a practical person, and binding is the edge of the quilt and it gets handled the most. So I like a dark binding because it doesn't show dirt, right? Bad news is when I go to stitch this on, and I like to stitch my bindings by hand, my older eyes have difficulty seeing. But anyway, I am left-handed. So I work with my excess fabric to the left of me. If you are right-handed, you'll turn it around and you'll put your excess fabric to the right, okay? But I am left-handed. I've had to turn the things around my whole life. So this is what's gonna happen. First thing I need to do is get a true straight edge right here because this was a torn edge. I have folded my fabric in half and then folded it again. I don't have one of those fancy overhead cameras. I just have my camera actually on a tub right now, attached to a little tripod thing I bought. So I'm gonna straighten this edge. I'm gonna lay my ruler. I can be ambidextrous on this first cut. You can actually flip it over and then flip it back, but I'm gonna be ambidextrous here and cut with my right hand on this first cut. I can do it. So I've laid my ruler down. I've lined up here with the fold and up here with the selvage, and it's straight, 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 straight. So I'm gonna come up here. I will put my hand, I don't have a good word for it because it's not a tripod, it's 5 fingers, but that's quintupod or something. Anyway, but if I put my pinky on this side of my ruler, it does 2 things. It helps to stabilize my ruler so it doesn't move around, but it also, unless you have huge hands on a 6-inch ruler, if you've got your pinky off on this side, there's no way your hand's gonna stretch over there and get cut. So I'm gonna line this up again. I'm going to open my rotary blade, put it on the edge of the mat and roll onto the fabric, holding that ruler secure, okay? So there it is, just like that, quick as a bunny. Now, there's lots of different theories out there. I like a very thin binding, so I cut my binding at 2 inches. This particular ruler is a 6.5-inch ruler. So, using my math brain that Miss Myers taught me in 3rd grade, 3rd and 4th grade, my math tables, 2 inches times 3 is 6. So I'm gonna lay my 6-inch line right here. There's 2 reasons I do that. As I cut and move my ruler this way, I'm moving my fabric less. If I cut here and cut a 2-inch strip. Then I have to pick up my ruler and then move, and the chances of moving this around, which is okay to do, but you want to keep it as stable as possible, I move it less. And I'm all about the efficiency thing. That's a whole sickness I have, which is another whole story. So now I'm cutting with my left hand. I've got my right hand on my ruler, on my pinky on the outside on the mat, holding it. And when you cut, if you have a new blade, you don't have to push down too hard. And I'm going through 4 layers of fabric here. There's 1, so I've got a 6-inch strip now, see? But 6, I will use my 4-inch line now. And a lot of this just takes practice to not waver off the side of your ruler. You would just want to push, never saw. You're going away from yourself, always. So here I've got 1, 2, 3. 3 strips of binding. This quilt is 88 by 88. These strips are approximately 44. Now, the math that I would use for that is I would add 88 4 times. I'm going to round up because I'm a little bit lazy and make it 90. 90 times 4 is 36. 36, well, 360. 360 divided by 40, because that's what I estimate. I don't estimate on the larger length here, although this fabric is 42. I'm going to need 9 strips. So I've cut 3. I'm going to move my fabric up a little bit, keep everything straight. Notice I closed my rotary. Yesterday I was just cutting. I had my rotary open and I reached for something over here and I cut myself. I haven't done that in a long time. So respect the rotary cutter. Okay, now I'm lining up again to get my next 6-inch piece, which will yield 3 more strips. You want to use good posture, good shoes, and a counter height cutting surface is optimal. For years I used my dining room table, and my back would kill me after a day of cutting because it's not as tall. I'm gonna have to move this slightly because my tub's in the way. And you can go to Walmart, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, buy some bed raisers. Then you can take like a church table that's 4, 6, 8 feet long, if you've got one of those for parties or whatever. And you can then go ahead and raise up your table and it'll be at the perfect height for cutting. I'm going to show you just because I can, and I've got extra strips here. Oh wait, those are the ones I'm going to use. I've got extra strips, right? Well, this one's extra. Okay, so let's pretend you needed, this is a 1.5-inch strip. Let's pretend you needed 1.5-inch squares. So you could keep this all folded. And I come down here and I trim off my selvage, because you don't want selvage in your quilts. It shrinks at a different, it's more tightly woven, so it shrinks at a different rate. So 1.5 goes up to 12. This does not measure 12, it measures 10.5. But guess what? 10.5 is a divisor of 1.5. So I can come up here and cut off at the 10.5. Minus 1.5 is 9. Minus 1.5 is 7.5. right? Yes. Minus 1.5 is 6. You see these numbers? I'm following with the edge of my fabric right here. Minus 1.5 is 4.5. Minus 1.5 is 3. Minus 1.5 is 1.5. So just that quickly, I've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. I didn't cut all the way through that one, but 28 1.5 inch squares. So you can cut strips, and I'm not going to do that because this is going to be my binding, but I could layer up these and say you needed 2 inch by 3.5 inch. So I could cut a 3.5 here and a 3.5 here, and every time I cut, I get 4. So there's shortcuts to cutting, and I hope this is a beginning tutorial on cutting, how to do it, how to hold your rotary cutter, how to use your ruler for measuring, not your mat. And I'll go over that again because my mat lines, even the thin mat lines, are thicker than here. So I want it to be as close to that, as close to this dark line as possible. These yellow lines are thicker. But if I do lay that on there precisely, you can see the yellow behind the black. So that means it's wider, it's not quite as accurate. So there are times when you don't have a ruler big, say you needed a 34 inch or 36 inch strip. I guess you could use a yardstick. They don't have a ruler that big, so you have to use your mat. But for general cutting, for best accuracy, use your ruler. Thanks for tuning in for episode 3. And, this episode 4, I think. Anyway, of Do-Re Me Let's Sew. And I'll be back, and we will start sewing some strips together. Thanks. Bye.